Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Elizabeth Warenberg. Thank you so much for choosing to be here with me today. Welcome. If it's your first time, welcome back. If you've been here before, I appreciate it. Today, we're talking about this idea that self-esteem comes from esteemable acts. And basically what that means is we have to act first, and then we'll see a change in how we feel. So self-esteem comes from esteemable acts. I first heard this in a 12-step recovery program, but you can use it any word you want to feel. So if you want to feel more confident, if you want to feel more strong, or whatever word you want to feel, you can replace that with what I'm talking about. So you can say like confidence comes from confident acts, or um, respecting myself comes from respecting myself acts. I mean, anything like this. But just with the way I'm going to say self-esteem comes from esteemable acts, you can replace it to be whatever feels like the right wording for you. So what that means basically is, if you've watched any other videos on my channel before, you know that I very much am a proponent of affirmation work. I really believe it's so important to be very intentional about the way we speak to ourselves, about how the thoughts that are going through our mind, how we program ourselves. I believe in hypnosis work as well. So I'm definitely a fan of all of that. But at some point, we cannot just think our way into a new state of being. Eventually, there comes a time where we're going to have to be accountable to ourselves, and we're going to have to start to act differently if we really want to feel differently. And so when we think about self-esteem comes from esteemable acts, basically what we're talking about here is you have to act, and then it will change your energy. So a really good example of this is working out, right? Um, Most people who I know who love working out, love it because of what they feel like afterwards, not the actual process in the moment. So there's certain things where we might not feel better until after they're over, or we might not know that, like, or we don't like it in the moment, or we don't look forward to it in the moment, but we know eventually once it's finished or anything like that, it's going to feel really good for us. And so that's where we can be like, okay, I know that's why I want to do that. So self-esteem comes from esteemable acts means if you don't feel good about yourself, obviously, of course, you can, I believe and support everyone being like, I love myself, I'm deserving of the best, it's safe for me to feel love and care, right? I believe in all that stuff for sure. But there comes a time where eventually you're going to have to change your actions to match that. So if you're saying all day long, like, right, like, I respect my body, I love myself, but you haven't gone for a walk or moved your body or anything like that in, like, I don't know, a very long time, right? There's some type of conflict there. So eventually you have to get to the point, when we think about self-esteem coming from esteemable acts, there's a point where you need to be accountable enough to be like, okay, I need to physically do something to be like the final change with that. So same thing with confidence, right? If you are wanting to put yourself out there in terms of, like, maybe you make music, or maybe you offer a certain service to people, right? Like, if it's something you've never done before, it's not going to feel totally easy and normal and like a habit you've practiced until you've practiced that habit. And so, like, again, it would be nice if we could just all sit at home and speak all the affirmations in the world and never have to do our part to do anything. But that's our role in these things, is knowing that, okay, this is the way I'm reprogramming my thinking. This is the way that I'm working on my mindset. But also, I need to do my part in this. So, going back to the example I just shared, if you are a musician, or you have like a healing service you want to offer, or YouTube, right? There's something you want to offer yourself, like, you have to do it, and then you'll feel a little bit like more confident, or more, you'll have more self-esteem around it, or you feel more sure about it, right? You have to take action to start to trust and feel within yourself. Because if you don't have that template in your body, if that's something you've never practiced within yourself, or something that isn't a programming you have of, like, that feels like a normal or easy habit for you, then you're going to have to, like, take action until it feels normal. And of course, what comes with the action is definitely affirmation work. It's definitely like, I'm allowed to be this, I'm allowed to transform into this. This is who I am, this is who I'm becoming. So I definitely support all of that. But like I said, you can't do one without the other if you really want to embody this full change in your life. So part of it is doing the inner work around, this is a way that this is the story I have, and so I can literally rewrite that story. You can journal to yourself, you can do affirmation work, you can do hypnosis, you can do any type of that stuff. Obviously trauma work, if that's around this particular thing you're working on for you. But with that, you're going to eventually have to start to take different actions to be different. And so, like, again, that self-esteem coming from esteemable acts. If you have, a lot of fear of interacting with other people, right? Maybe one thing you can do is, okay, I'm going to talk to like the person at the grocery store checkout today. That's going to be my small thing I'm going to do. And then it's like, okay, I did it. I survived it. It was really uncomfortable, but I survived it. So next I'm going to try and talk to like the person at the bank instead of just doing online banking, or I'm going to call to order some food from a restaurant instead of just order it online. And just take it how it resonates. So whatever example is there for you, but eventually, again, you're going to have to get to the point where it's like you have to, we really want to feel confident or assured of ourselves. And obviously, we can never be 100% whatever. As we keep growing, we're going to get challenged to move into the next layer of ourselves, next level of ourselves. And so like that, like nervousness or unsureness might come up again and again, which is fine. That means you're doing something, you're growing. But if you want to be able to feel sure of yourself, right, then you're just going to have to practice doing it. So think of a habit you have right now that you don't even think about, right? So like eating anything, right? Just eating food. You know how to eat food because you've done it 8 million times in your life. You know how to do all of that, right? It could be, I don't know, reading if you're a reader. Just any habit that you do that you don't even think about because you've done it for so long that it just comes and you don't have to build confidence around it. It's just something you do. And this, of course, can also be like habits that we're not really proud of, or we don't really, we want to change or we want to move around in that way. And so if you have no programming and no practice around like telling your body, look, this is a thing I've done 8 million times. I know how to do it. This is something that's going to come from me. This is like the part of being humble with beginner mindset is knowing that when I do want to have self-esteem coming from my esteemable acts, like I need to be humble enough to practice this act so it feels better. And then the other part of this is also knowing that, we can sit here all day long and we're not just, we do have a physical body. And so we're not just like only in the mind. And so sometimes we can't shift energy unless we do something physically, right? So there's something like, let's say your energy feels bad and you're just trying to get yourself out of a funk, but you're just like in this cycle over and over in your mind. But then you call your friend and you talk to them, or you have a session with a therapist, or you watch a YouTube video, or you go for a walk, or you go to like a 12-step meeting. I mean, you do something to shift that energy, then that's also a way that like self-esteem can come from esteemable acts. So this is what I was talking about in the beginning of the video as well, where you can like affirm yourself all day long, or if you're in that cycle of just like you can't get out of like this doom spiral, this fear spiral you have for yourself, if that's just where you are over and over again, then it can be helpful to do something to kind of shift that energy as well. So sometimes we have to act first, and then the feeling better or feeling more aligned or not feeling as stressed out or whatever is coming up for you it will get minimized once we take action to do something different. So a lot of times to say, well, I'll work out when I feel really inspired, or I'm really inspired today to like, you know, um, journal every single day. I'm really inspired today. And that's good, but that usually only lasts about, when we're making new habits, that usually only lasts about like not a long time. And so when we're switching our habits, when we're trying to make new things become patterns for us, we have to remind ourselves, okay, I'm going to feel better after this, even if I don't want to do it right now. And that's thinking about long term, that's having faith and trusting, like, okay, I've done this enough times to know that when it's over, I feel better. And that's how I shift and maintain my energy. That's like a spiritual hygiene I have, physical hygiene I have, right? A lot of things we do, maybe we don't enjoy them so much in the process, but what we get afterwards or what happens afterwards is like what is beneficial and what feels good for us. So when we think about self-esteem coming from esteemable acts, it's twofold. It's just, again, you need to remember that when you want to change something in your life, like affirmations are only going to do so much of it. You have to do your own part. You have to put in the work. You have to invest in yourself to make that shift and change. And then also knowing if you're having a block around like, okay, well, I can't think myself out of this, there's usually some type of recovery work you need to do. So it could be a yoga practice, could be going for a walk, could be talking with a therapist, it could be making art, it could be, you need to release and move that energy in some way. And then once you do that, that's going to free up yourself to be like, okay, I do feel better. So just a reminder, self-esteem does come from esteemable acts. Confidence comes from confident acts, right? We get more clarity once we take action. and we get more awareness around the ways that we can start to show up for ourselves and the ways that what we need to do next once we start to move and shift through some of the energy. So I hope this serves you. The takeaway I want all of us to remember, and this is for me too, of course, is that it's not just affirming ourselves. It's not just saying these things to ourselves over and over. We have to have actions that match it. And then there's like everything in between, right? You have to figure out the practice that works best for you, and you have to figure out how to find balance. And part of that is too just enjoying your life, right? So if you've been going really, really hard on like, I'm going to do this thing at this exact time and I'm going to feel really good, then that's part of it. But the other part of it is being like, okay, how can I find more balance in this? So knowing you do want to focus on um, our physical body, our soul body, our spiritual body, our mental energy, right? There's things we can do with all of this, but just knowing that our self-esteem won't, there is a definite level to speaking to ourselves in a very kind and loving way, which I'm a huge proponent of, very important. But there's only a certain level that we can get until we start to take action that reflects who we want to be and how we want to be acting and how we see ourselves. So remembering that like you will feel better about yourself once you start to take baby steps. Doesn't have to be immediate, doesn't have to be all overnight, doesn't have to be everything immediately, okay? But once you start to take action towards shifting your energy to being a certain way, that's when you are going to feel more confident and more, have more self-esteem or whatever. You're going to respect yourself more because you're acting in a way that is in alignment with these affirmations you're telling yourself. So again, hope this serves you. Just remember, hang in there. You're going at the pace that is right and perfect for you. And thank you so much for spending your time with me today. If you ever want any more information about me, all of that is linked below. Thank you so much for choosing to be here, and I hope you have a wonderful day.